This is more real. No, I don't put the PowerPoints on there. One reason is if you use a Mac, you can't see any of the writing. I use a tablet to write, and it doesn't show up on a Mac. And so it's more trouble than it's worth. And plus, I have designed the PowerPoint so that you can see that there's a dynamic. You see that there's colors that appear and all that. That's made by making a new slide. So 90% of the slides are almost empty. So it's irritating for the student. So I used to put them up there, but they were just so annoyed and they spent so much time trying to, and then somebody finally said, just put it as a YouTube. Initially, I used to try to put it all on Canvas. And they like the YouTube better because they forget where to look on Canvas. I don't know. And then Canvas would crash, and sometimes Canvas wouldn't be available. So I've tried it before. No, it's not worked out well. I like to say my classes are designed by students. So when you see me doing something next semester, like, we told her to do that. That was us. So this to me is a little bit more of a real problem. You probably have seen some of this in your labs. How many of you used Excel in the labs? Only a few of you. Got to know how to use Excel. How many of you are bio majors? Okay, what if all of you raise your hands and said, we're physics majors? You've been talking to the wrong crowd. Good. So most of you are bio majors. Excel has everything in it that you need. They want you to use the calculator because that's what you have handheld. I'll figure out some way that you can use Excel if I ask you an Excel question on the test. I've done creative things where you can do this. I don't want you to do this on your calculator. So in Excel, all I did is I took these numbers. X is always time. That's my axis. In biological applications, sometimes I've had stuff where axis, like I've had graphs where I plot lean mass versus fat mass so that the x-axis is not necessarily always time, but usually it's time. So time is the axis, whatever you're counting is the y's. Now, what is CFU? Your bio majors, what does that stand for? Colony forming unit. Huh? Colony forming unit. Okay, colony. So it's some kind of density, and you have per milliliter. So they're measuring something per milliliter of, so it's a density. So they have a density they're counting. They're not actually counting the number of bacteria flying in here. So that's what you get. And they want a scatter plot of the data. Well, on Excel, there's a little button that says scatter plot. You just highlight both columns, and you click the chart tools, and it scatter plots for you. If you haven't done this before, everyone has Excel. Someone on YouTube there's a million videos on YouTube about how to do a scatter plot. And that's why I didn't even explain it. It's easier for you to sit at your desk and just do it. But you see, it makes a pretty decent scatter plot. I'm a little anal about the graphs I make. I have to label lots of time and hours, and it comes from working with so many of the people I work with. They like to see everything labeled nicely. So that's what it looks like. It looks like some of the fake graphs that we made on the previous thing that was a fake Webassign problem, right? It looks like those exponentials like 10 to the x and 3 to the x, which makes sense. Bacteria do grow exponentially. The second question they had is they wanted you to find an exponential curve. And I thought initially when I looked at this problem and assigned it, that what they wanted to do is algebra, to find the A and the B like you did in pre-calculus. But that's not what they wanted you to do. They wanted you to use the trend tool. And apparently you have it on your graphing calculator. But I just didn't go there, and I do walk you through this. So there is my ugly chart on I don't like those lines. I usually get rid of them. But if you just right-click the data on your chart, this thing shows up, and you see where it says Add Trend Line. You select that Add Trend Line. And in bio classes, if you haven't got there, or chem classes where you have labs, eventually you'll get there where they want you to put a line through the plot and look at things like the R-squared. So those are important things that you want to do. But here, the graph is not a line. It automatically puts the line. This is the default. You see that. Okay? And in fact, one of the criticisms I've heard from math people is that people in biology always want to fit 100. It's obvious this trend is not a line, it's a curve. And so what they want you to do is put an exponential in it. You see the top choice there is exponential. And they have all the shapes of the curves. So you can try any one of them. You can put polynomials in there if you want to. But I just selected exponential. And you see right here that I've checked display equation on chart. There it is. It just automatically shows up. That's what they wanted. And I've already assigned it, so I didn't want to back off. And I kind of thought it was a nice problem. So if you haven't done this on Excel, do this. Do this on Excel because you'll have a different problem with different numbers on it. And so that was my finished thing after I put the function in it. And as I recall, I recall that Webassign made you choose one of the graphs, which was the right graph that matched your graph. So there was a graph, like there was 4 graphs you had to choose from, and one of them looked like this, and the other ones didn't. So it was kind of obvious that one matched the one I got on Excel. And then look here what they wanted you to type in. It's the same thing I have for the equation, except they say 2 decimal places. And if you don't want to do the rounding, you can tell Excel to do the rounding. You just click that little box up there and tell it 2 decimal places. Format cell, format, and say 2 decimal places, and it'll do it for you. Yes, I am that lazy sometimes. I just do that. Okay, any questions about that?
Is that explanation on 1.07, is that T?
Yes. You can make that. You can make that T. I forgot how to do that. But you can make this the other way around. There's another choice on it. I think it's power. So I think it is exponential, but you have power also. So let me know if you're struggling with this one. You can just go on Excel and do this. Do you remember that there was a power backup? Power. It's this one right here. So I think they wanted this one. You're right. So it's the same work. You would just go through it and click power, and it will give you the equation up the top, and they want you to match the equation.